Welcome to the 5th week of the Science Podcast. Unfortunately, our host, Mr. Rupp, could not make it today.
Fortunately.
But we do have special guests featuring The Hub, which is the most popular podcast in our school right now.
In the county, actually.
And in the country. Thank you.
So we still have Max right here, Max Knopf, Isaac Weber, and myself, Ethan Weber. And we're going to be bringing the science while the Hub is here to discuss with us. So if the Hub wants to introduce themselves.
Folks at home, the Hub, y'all know about it. Science Pod, whatever. I'm your co-host, Ethan Edward Leroy Hartwig VII. Thank you for tuning in.
I'm your co-host, Jacob Jerome Kevin Alejandro Smith. Nice to be here.
And I'm Nathaniel Sticky-Fingered Sylvester Wiley.
Alright, nice of you to join us.
Anytime, Chuck.
Nice of you to join us.
Many viewers may not know this, but we are big science fans. We're in anatomy and physiology and all those genius little classes. All right, back to you, Chet.
Yeah, so we're going to start off with a little robotics news, and we're going to roll this clip.
Roll the clip, Chet.
Please and thank you.
Okay, we have some low-quality cinematography
Right now,
here.
somewhere in America, there's an animal being beaten and another being locked in a cage, alone and left to die. These scared, innocent animals don't realize there's any hope
Robot
for a
lives
better
matter.
life.
This has gone viral.
Is this the reason why our co-host
At the
Mr. Rupp is
ASPCA,
not with us? Because he got
we're committed to searching every dark corner to find them and to help heal the deep physical and emotional wounds that have been inflicted
So
on
I'm not
them.
sure what you're showing me here, Chet.
This is robot abuse.
But we can't reach these animals without
Where you
your
slip off to
support.
it and find
So
the-
please visit our website or call now and join. Sign up for just $18 a month. It's only 60 cents a day, and you'll help rescue animals who are suffering.
So just like the commercials that we hear about with the animal abuse with PETA, this movie has gone viral about robots and robots being quote-unquote abused by humans. So what are your thoughts on robots being abused? Like, there's a lot of people that think that these robots are going to retaliate against humans, but in reality, these robots are just programmed to do specific tasks.
Can I just ask one
Yes.
question? It's really been deep inside my soul for quite some time now. Do robots have emotions?
So that is a good question. They do not. But there's this work called artificial intelligence and machine learning, which is going on to create this kind of emotion, I guess you could say, in robots, except it's not true emotion. It's kind of the thoughts, the brains, the power behind how humans think. We're reverse engineering the brain, essentially, in robots. But fortunately, these robots are not going to retaliate anytime soon.
And one moment there, Chet, but just to make the viewers aware, when we do hit 25 views on this video, we will be giving away one of these robots featured in the clip. So come down to the studio to claim your prize.
That
Do
would
you guys
be
have anything to comment on these videos?
Stop the robot abuse. Right. I mean, what they were doing to those poor robots, that's
Horrible.
Are you guys on the Science Podcast? Or?
What podcast are you guys on here? Wait, this is a science pod? I thought this was
I
the,
thought we were scheduled for
the
the other
sports
one.
podcast. Yikes, I didn't know we
think our
stooped that low.
producers-
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm gonna give a little information about this video and the reason why it's not so bad that this person is kicking the robot. So what Boston Dynamics is a corporation which is now owned by Alphabet, which is part of Google. And Boston Dynamics has been around since 1992, and their goal is to create robots like humans and animals, so they're creating robots that have the tasks of animals and humans. And this robot right here in the upper left is the new generation of Atlas, which is lighter and more compact than the most recent one. and this was created by Boston Dynamics with the president and founder Mark Rybert from MIT.
Now, Mr.
Gates?
Einstein.
Oh.
Gates, if that's your nickname. Do you plan to like work for these guys and you know?
I'd like to work for these guys.
Well,
I heard it doesn't pay very well, but
well, Gates, keep your dreams about you, and maybe one day you'll hit it big. Folks, you may not know this, but these two hooligans are related, so keep that in the mind when you're sending comments out. Okay? That's
Are you saying that you're a supporter of robot propaganda?
I'm a supporter of robots.
I mean,
taking over this world?
is
Yikes, folks.
Is that making
that's
a comment
very
on this
revealing.
discussion?
It's very scary.
Well, as it is now, it would be very difficult for a robot to take over the world. 'Cause
Well,
they can't think for themselves.
Well, then explain this to me.
Uh,
How do guns kill people then?
the person behind the guns is controlling it.
that hits home.
Okay, sure. All right. On to the next slide, Chet.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say a little bit why this robot is so advanced. It has 3D printed legs, and it has embedded actuators and hydraulic lines. So you can see that in the right picture. And the goal of this is to create robots like humans and animals. All right, next slide.
Congratulations. Okay.
So the next slide, this here is about self-driving cars. And what this is, I kind of talked about this in a recent episode about self-driving cars. And what it is having a car totally free from human intervention. So you hop in the car and you sit in the car and it just brings you to the store, the grocery store, the mall. It brings you out to your restaurant. It just brings you anywhere you want, essentially. And there was a recent survey done about driverless cars, and there were 1,800 drivers that were participated in this survey conducted by the American Automobile Association, and 75% of people said they would not feel safe in an autonomous vehicle. So I kind of want to have a discussion here about, would you feel safe in an autonomous vehicle? Yeah.
Firstly, I'm gonna say no right off the bat here. If you're gonna get in this vehicle, why do you have to be strapped to the roof of said vehicle? I mean, and what's that in his hand there as well?
I believe that is a
A mop
duster.
device?
So you know you can dust off. You don't have to dust off the underside of the overpasses. So
That's
it's quite handy actually.
it's
So
interesting.
that just shows the power of driverless cars, yeah?
Yeah, that's a pretty.
I think driverless. I think driverless cars equals unemployment. Truck
I would
drivers.
agree
True.
that.
Truck
What
drivers.
What happened to the taxi drivers?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Google
Well-
is actually working on an autonomous autonomous trucking corporation kind of.
I think.
So
That'd be pretty
wow.
nice.
Autonomous trucks.
I think this is Obama and Google teamed up for some conspiracy
Uh-huh.
to raise the economy and the debt.
Yep.
You know,
Actually, the unemployment.
I would
lower
agree.
The economy.
I'm not saying anything, but I think Obama is also behind the moon landings.
Fake.
They are
Fakes.
fake. They never happened.
All right. Anyways, so
Anyways,
I guess with the unemployment, we also have Uber trying to take over the taxi business. So that just right there takes a ton of jobs away. And yeah, I guess hopefully Max can put up a poll on Twitter asking if
Do it right
if
now.
people
Now
would
that you
feel
say
safe
that.
in an autonomous car.
wait, why is Uber taking away jobs though? Because
Uber is working towards autonomous vehicles.
oh, they are.
So instead of having taxi drivers, you're gonna have a taxi car service that it just drives you.
Yeah.
So you're just walking down the street and you see a car pull up on your request. And you just hop in it, tell it the coordinates where you want to go. And it takes you there.
I mean, this is just my opinion, but this really seems to further the underlying robot agenda we have going on here.
Yes.
This is a conspiracy, a true one here, folks. I
I
mean,
mean-
they're taking over our animals, our cars. What's next? You know?
That is a good question.
And honestly, you gotta say,
They might take the Hub's podcast away. Oh.
well,
That hits home for me.
that hits home. Well, we'll see about that, Chet, won't we? Anyhow, moving on, shall we?
All right, moving on to time travel featuring Max Knopf.
Hey there. So, I guess you guys have probably all seen, the infamous movie
No.
Back to the Future. Have you not? You've
No.
not seen Back to the Future? Well,
What's the lore behind that one?
Can you give us a synopsis, please?
I could give you a brief summary. Well, this guy creates a time machine, which consequently is a car, and they use it to travel backwards and forwards in time.
But what's the lore behind that?
I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure you could ask the producer of the movie about that.
Who's the producer?
Probably Steven Spielberg.
I think
Congratulations.
he retired before that movie came out.
No, I'm pretty sure. he
I
came
think
back.
it was Ben Affleck.
Ben
This young
Affleck.
man
Yeah,
was-
there we go.
Yeah,
Yep,
what's
that's
this
him.
man's name?
Yep,
What is it?
it's actually Matthew Rupp
Oh,
on the first
Oh.
time machine.
wow.
Yeah, that's why he's gone today.
Not looking so
that-
good in
but
his
that-
actor days, but
That's alright.
Write that down.
Well, anyways, I'm here to tell you guys that time travel is very possible, but not in the form or fashion that you would think. So you would think that someone would create a time machine, you go in, you set the date that you want to travel to, and you press a button, right? Well, that's not very possible. The feasible way to do this would be to get in a spaceship that is capable of traveling at over light speeds, and you launch yourself into space and make a round trip around the galaxy traveling at over light speed.
Hold up. This sounds very familiar.
to a film you've
To a
seen.
film I've seen. I don't think you've done any research at all, Maximilian.
Maxwell.
Knopf. I think you
look
just
down at your
watched
paper,
the
I don't
movie
know.
Interstellar.
I don't-
Sailor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Folks, there's nothing on the paper.
Folks, this is
yeah.
what we got on the paper.
Yeah, there's
Are we
nothing
being
there.
pranked here on the hub?
I think
or-
this
You
is
actually
a big
are.
prank.
It's actually Einstein's theory of relativity.
It's a film.
That's not.
So you're saying
Busted?
this is very possible? Is that what you're
Mean
saying?
busted.
It's very
Oh.
possible.
Got him.
So what's the science behind?
Time travel?
Yeah.
Whatever it's
Like,
called.
how can I build a time machine and just like?
Can't
see
actually.
any other
Unless you can
films?
build a device that can create a wormhole and simultaneously send you through it at light speed, then it would be possible. However, Einstein's theory of relativity is basically along with this is basically that time travels faster.
That stuff's like
In
100 years
space.
old. That's outdated, dude.
And it's not outdated. It's actually very relevant.
I have a question when you're done.
All right, so I'm just gonna finish the
Maybe
statement.
we'll go back 100 years and
Oh,
Well,
this guy.
so if you travel at over light speed around the galaxy, since time is faster in space, a few months would have passed for you, but hundreds of years would have passed down on Earth. So essentially, you'd be a time traveler. So, what is your
Two
question?
questions. First question, you mentioned wormholes.
Yeah, I did.
How many worms do we have to dig up to get this thing going?
Actually, a wormhole is a metaphorical hole in the universe, like in space. That would. It's basically like a
Hold
shortcut.
up. Have you ever seen a wormhole?
Yeah, if you can't see, it doesn't exist. Right?
Exactly.
Have you ever
Can you
seen
see the oxygen in the air?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a black hole?
Yes.
Have you?
Well, we recently
Yes.
just did discover them thanks to
But
Was
hold
it
on.
Martha
Did,
Stewart?
nanowaves
did you see it?
in the galaxy.
Yeah.
You saw it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. You guys have some good
I
telescopes.
think we should have
here.
our own
Well,
science pod on
Yeah,
the
I
hub.
think
the
we
hub,
need
I
a
guess, can do the impossible.
Second
I guess so.
question. Moving on. Moving on.
So no second question.
I forgot it actually, folks. I forgot it.
Wormholes, yeah. So essentially, as you can see there, so a wormhole is basically like taking this as the universe and just punching a hole straight through the paper. So instead of going around, you just go straight through. It's basically like a shortcut. And so, along with what I was saying before, if you make a round trip around the galaxy at light speed, essentially if you launch yourself into one of these wormholes at light speed, it'll be the same as traveling around the universe.
Okay, this man on the right, did he just get trapped in one of those like Chinese finger things, or is that?
That's actually a
Big one.
That's a big one. Jeez.
It's a cartoon.
That's for
Depicting
giants.
the, wormholes possibilities.
I don't
Wait,
think this is
that's-
very scientifically accurate.
It actually is.
It
You
looks
should,
like some
take a
Chinese
wormhole from
finger
the,
trap.
universe
Yeah,
that it's in.
I mean, how do you go right from Earth to the Andromeda galaxy?
Like I said, it's a shortcut. It's a big shortcut. Hey, Deets.
I believe that's pronounced Andromeda.
And
Alright.
Okay.
And
I think that is right.
So in
actually.
other words, we're speculating that time travel will become a reality in our future.
oh really?
This is
Yes.
the conclusion
Yeah.
of
So
our debate.
if
Distant future.
Distant
no,
future.
very near actually.
How many months are we saying here?
What
You know
kind of
what?
effects does that have on the body to travel past light speed?
Oh.
Travel at light speed? They don't know because it's not possible.
So it is not
Yeah.
here yet.
Yeah.
No.
But any minute now,
Yeah.
we're gonna be live.
What if it's
With
possible
this.
for
Somewhere in the
something
realm
like
of
some
time,
being
Yes, realm of time.
in a
Even
different
if
galaxy?
time even exists.
and then bam, they just
What
appear.
if another person in another galaxy is just sauntering around in space? Next thing you know, they're here.
Meandering, are you trying to say?
Meandering. Good call. Finally, we're on the right page here.
No, actually, I think it's just.
All right, I think we're gonna go on to the next topic,
What would? Oh,
which is the hub as a special segment. So we're gonna let them go. Science, stay tuned for more.
stay tuned. What? This is science. Anyhow, folks.
Oh, this is science.
Note, we did source our image. The hub presents. Next slide, Jason. The essence of life, brought to you by the hub and full Comic Sans and various other literary devices. Sponsored by Timothy Del Trace, a good man and an honorary hacky sack veteran. Some good stuff. That's our title slide, folks. And next slide. This is a very fluent slideshow. So, good evening, gents and fair ladies. Pokemon, real or no go?
I think
So-
it says Pokemon.
What's the science behind
Pokemon?
Pokemon?
Yeah, what
The
is
science band Pokemon.
Well,
Is it
many
real?
many kids have seen the show Pokemon, and it features a young child who has some sort of ability where he never ages.
What is his name?
Ash,
Pokemon.
Ash Mustard, something.
Yeah.
Ash Mustard.
That sounds pretty right. Yeah.
And we actually do have a video coming up here, but we'll get into that in a moment. Folks, what do you have to say? Pokemon, real or no go?
Say
Well, I
no
would
go.
say go.
I'd say go.
I'd say go.
I'd say Pokemon. Go.
That's a
I'd
little.
say-
Yeah.
That's a little. Yeah.
Pokemon
Next
Go.
slide.
Huh.
Oh well, first let's get into the real science now, folks. Here's a little equation that Einstein created. A equals B plus C. Does anyone have any thoughts on that equation?
What does
It's very
D
complex.
equal?
We're not sure yet, but it's very complex. It actually leads you to be able to
Time travel.
time travel.
Time travel.
Can you explain that theory?
No.
I can actually, folks. I don't want to brag, but A equals Andromeda
This
equals.
equals apple.
No, that's just an example.
Yeah, because Andromeda is a
Oh,
pretty
so you can
complex
basically
term.
like
Yeah.
So we need to dumb it
substitute
down.
any word.
Substitute
for
any word that starts with the same letter. B, blueberry plus cherry. You can find more at theholylandbakery.com, but that's another day. We don't support those guys. We don't.
these. So you're saying
You're not affiliated with the whole bakery.
Yeah. Let's move next slide. Let's just show our viewers what we're on about. Roll the clip, chat. Can we skip to about a minute in? I don't really want to see this whole thing. I mean, you'll get the baseline, folks. Yeah, right there. Okay. So essentially, it's Pokemon in real life, and Great Wall of China. Well, let's just watch it. Okay, folks, you're gonna want to watch this part right here. Yikes! That's some sort of. This is our world. Bombing threat. I don't know.
This is all over the world.
This is everything. Jesus.
ISIS would possibly be able to get hold of this technology because that's a big problem.
That's the problem. Man. Look at this. They're gonna take over one day. thought it would.
Dude, it's coming this year.
Alright, so do we want to explain the science behind this before we...
Well, next
Yeah,
slide.
could you guys-
it
Next
helps
slide,
out.
chat, please.
No,
Next
no
slide.
science behind that?
No,
we'll get
it's
there.
on the next
Oh,
slide.
okay.
Wow. All right, back to you, chat.
Alright, Isaac, why don't you explain the science behind this? I know you're a big Pokemon fan.
Right.
Or Pokemon.
Yes, he
Oh,
plays it all
yeah.
night in his room,
Pokemon.
folks.
Yes. I spent
It's Game Boy.
20 some years of my life playing Pokemon.
Oh.
But anyway,
Time travel, guys.
Wow.
time travel. So what happens here is obviously, as it shows, you look around and it's like, shoot, there's a Pokemon over
So
there.
you look around.
Yep.
You
look
mean
around.
you look through your phone.
No, hold on. Not quite there yet. So it said on the screen, right? It's like, wow, there's a Pokemon over there. But no,
Pokemon.
that's not actually what happens.
Oh, it seems that there's actually a Pokemon over there right now.
It's augmented reality.
So it's like ghosts.
Kind of like
It's
when
a
you
ghost
think of like virtual reality and augmented reality, they're very similar. But you're not gonna slap on a big pair of goggles, right?
Right.
No,
It's a waste of time.
you're gonna take your phone. I'm gonna take Max's phone, and then I look through the camera, and
You might
sure,
not want to
there-
do that. You don't know what you'll
there's
find.
there's a Pokemon right there.
Anyhow,
Right
Right here.
there.
continuing.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess this kind of goes back to our last week's discussion about virtual reality and augmented reality. They're doing quite amazing things where you can put on goggles, go in a flight simulator, control different devices, like have a surgeon in one area operating on another person in another area. It's also about playing games with augmented reality, so such as playing Call of Duty Zombies in your living room. If you're wearing these goggles that can put pictures into your living room, you could treat every window as a place for zombies to walk in, and you could play video games that way. So this is like the next generation of video games that may be more active than they are today.
Now, how does this affect our children by seeing zombies approach them through windows?
They'll have more real-life experiences on how to actually fight zombies when the zombie apocalypse does come upon us.
Can we talk about the zombie apocalypse? Is that another upcoming
Is that off
segment?
I believe we can work that in. I mean,
Zombie apocalypse.
But I don't know. I feel like we should save that for another time.
Yeah,
that's a
well,
big other story.
We might get some more
We'll be
viewers
back.
if you talk about zombies.
Yeah, but
We're about the
we're
quality.
okay. We're having a little dispute, folks. Stay in your seats. We'll get right back to the interesting stuff any moment. Okay. So the question that everyone is banging on about is time travel real, or is Alberta Einstein just a? Well,
shoot.
Excuse me.
I think
You
our
guys are a little
producers
more
are.
Do you not have your slides memorized?
well, it actually said, or is time travel just
Or
I
is
think it said, or is just a great.
a great movie director?
Can we have a vote? Is time travel real, or is Alberta Einstein just a great movie director?
Movie director for me.
same here?
Okay.
All right, moving on. 3 on 3. Next slide, please. Merry Christmas to all you viewers. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Science Pod tuning out for the day.
We actually have
We're here
more, and the hub is
Oh.
are staying.
Oh, we'll stay,
sure.
I suppose.
Let me get some goods going.
Yeah. Okay, back to the.
Spider silk.
Oh.
So
I
here we go.
guess we're done.
We're done, I guess.
So you
Okay.
see some spider silk up on the screen, right? What's that doing up there? I'll tell you. So, spider silk is actually a very interesting material. It's 5 times stronger than steel. I'll get into the technicalities with its strength comparative to steel, but it is stronger than steel. And I know what you're thinking, like spider silk. How is that stronger than steel? I can just rip it and grab it and do anything with it, right?
Yeah.
But think about that. Like, so there's so little spider silk in that web, right? What happens if you put as much spider silk, as there would be steel, right?
Well, I don't know if we really want to get mutated spiders to be that big, but
That's a
we
good
can
point.
I'll get to
definitely
you on
think
that.
about that.
I'll just give you a
Good
foresight
point, huh?
right here. Goat. I'll just tell you the word goat. I'll get into that deeper later.
Goat. Let me get that on paper.
Goat. Alright, but some interesting stuff with spider silk is it can be used for like Kevlar. In the center of the screen there, that black and yellow stuff, that's Kevlar.
Bumblebees zoomed in.
Yeah, I think that's a chessboard.
Oh, is it?
That's what it looks
Well,
like.
anyway, and in the top right, you can see a graph up there. That's showing that like the tension and the strain, how much give it has compared to its tensile strength. And then, as I said before, I'll get into the technicalities, but tensile strength and compressive strength, what the difference is between those.
Okay, I'm not actually getting this graph whatsoever.
Yeah.
So toughness, stiffness.
Right.
Stickiness?
What's the? I'm not getting this graph.
So Kevlar, at the bottom, that's how much give it has. That's how much it can stretch. Kevlar cannot stretch very much, whereas spider silk that can stretch loads, literally loads. It can stretch. You can throw some steel on there.
Can we visit that your link actually Wikipedia? I just want to make sure it's valid.
And Wikipedia is
I
the
don't know.
source here.
Actually, that's just the source for the picture. We cite our picture sources, right?
Okay.
But
I'll be checking that out later.
Yeah, as
you
will
can,
I.
Okay, give me a shirt of that.
all right, you want to hit the next
One more
slide?
question. Will the spider silk be able to keep up towers?
I'll get into that in a
Will I
little
be
bit.
able to like be like Spider-Man?
Whoa.
Yes.
So
Can I-
you want to hit
can
the
I
next
be
slide?
Because
So,
maybe we should
In
make
the center
towers
of the
out of
screen right here, you see a big old steel beam, right?
bone.
And as I
Yeah.
said before, spider silk's 5 times stronger than steel. So why don't we just use it for buildings?
Can spider silk melt steel beams?
Spider silk melt steel beams.
I don't
Yeah.
think there's any heat source.
I don't
with
think
the,
there's a whole lot of heat.
spiders, so
But
Okay.
we don't know. Genetic modification could be a thing. But anyway, you don't really want to use spider silk for steel beams and structural support like that because it has a lot of give, whereas steel does not. You can snap steel, you can't really snap spider silk.
Yeah,
Whereas
you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can cut it.
Yeah, you can cut it. Right.
I don't know if you can cut. Well, you can cut steel
Well,
with lava or
in the
something.
top right, you see some steel wiring, some coiled wire. You could do that with spider silk. Like, so that stuff, that it doesn't need a whole lot of.
So the question everyone's banging on about is why don't we do this, right?
Well, because it has too much give, right? Like, you don't want to make a big old building out of spider silk.
are you guys okay?
Okay, folks. Back to the content. Wow, jeez. Don't let me just ignore me, folks.
But some more uses, like
The science pod is more humorous than the hub.
I talked about Kevlar before, right?
Did we? I don't think we hit Kevlar before. Can you go back a slide, please?
I briefly alluded to it.
That was a chessboard, dude.
It's also very strong.
So how much stronger is it than Kevlar?
So
It's-
Kevlar is essentially some sort of raft device to keep you afloat, or what is it?
No,
exactly?
Actually,
Kevlar
it can
is-
be used to make boats.
It can be used to make boats, but it's also your go-to bulletproof material. So like, that's a bulletproof
Can we
vest up
test that out?
Can we
Yeah,
test that?
can
Do we have
we
a
test
simulation?
There are many tests on YouTube. Currently, I do not have any Kevlar with me, nor do I have a gun on me.
Oh, let's hope, folks.
But some more medical uses. Some more uses would be like medical. So do you see in the bottom right? There's a tendon and a ligament. You can use spider silk to replace that, rather than having to like if you tear your ACL.
I mean, that seems kind of weak to me. You know,
Yeah.
a little
Yeah, just a
spider
little-
silk thread
see,
in
that's
there.
what you think.
That seems
But
kind of
If you look at a spider web, it's so thin, right?
seems
It's
kind of
very thin.
kind of on.
Thanks, Miss Seeds.
But what happens? What happens if you increase that size to like a quarter inch? Then it gets a lot stronger. You can't really pull that apart like you can a spider web. And same with bones. You can wind them up like bones, but it might have a little bit too much give, as I was talking
Wait,
about.
before you move on, I need to mention, how many more times stronger than steel did you say this was?
5 times.
I have an interesting fact for you, and I would challenge these viewers to view week 4's episode, which is the last week of the science podcast. We had some interesting stuff about material and nanoscience in particular. We talked about carbon nanotubes, and these are actually 117 times stronger than steel,
117.
and 30 times stronger than Kevlar. They're making business suits that are bulletproof.
So spider
But-
silk is irrelevant.
However, spider silk is not
That's what I'm
irrelevant.
getting.
So
By
is this?
combining Sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
combination.
Is this like a real element in the periodic table?
Can you point it out? to
No,
me?
what the nanotube?
So you're gonna have to watch last week's episode.
Huh.
Well, no, that's okay.
We'll keep that
Anyways.
in mind.
So with these carbon nanotubes and spider silk combined, if you use them together, if you coat silk with nanotube particles, you can actually create even stronger materials. So no, spider silk is not irrelevant at all.
You mentioned it being 117 times stronger than, what was it?
Steel.
And you mentioned it being 5 times stronger than something else, right?
Steel.
Hold on.
Okay, so let's take this 117 times 5,
Yep.
585. Multiply that by 3 5/85ths, you get the number 3. And that's how many sides in a triangle, folks?
3 by 585.
Next slide.
Next slide, folks. Well done.
So, what I was saying before, I said the word goat, right? I was merely alluding to a study done. A study done of these scientists. They got together and they were like, alright, the spider silk is really strong. How can we harness its power? So, they got a whole bunch of spiders together because, you need a lot of spiders in order to get a large amount of spider silk.
Or one giant one.
Yeah.
How do they extract the silk from their
From their
spider
They actually have
bodies?
spider farms. I know this one. They have spider farms where they just milk them. I don't want to get into that too much.
I think that's spider milk. I think you're thinking of spider
No.
milk.
Continue. Sorry for disrupting.
Alright.
Wow.
So in the close to near future,
Yeah.
can I be Spider-Man? That's what I really want to know.
Good
Yeah,
film.
possibly.
I mean-
that is very possible, but we're not 100% sure yet.
That did get a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah.
Spider-Man 2?
Yeah.
And 5.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Good one.
Check it out.
But so in their study where they had a whole bunch of spiders together, one thing that they didn't account for was the territorial instinctiveness of the spiders. So what happened was the spiders just killed each other. It's a very, very, very territorial.
Are they like
So
cannibalistic?
it didn't really work out.
Kind of.
Okay.
Right, it didn't work out that well, so they had to think of something else.
So they put them on a goat.
They genetically modified goats to spin spider silk
Oh,
in
wow.
their
Out of-
butter.
and those you can milk, correct? You can
So
milk
it
your
is
goat?
the milk.
Can milk the silk.
So now
Milk the
there's
silk.
like a bundle of like
Whoa.
spider web in their
There we
arms,
go.
right?
Yeah.
Or do they do you squirt it out as like a liquid and then it like kind of hardens into
Yeah,
that silk?
sort of. That's how a spider works, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
like a soupy substance, soupy, and then it just spits it out in fine threads.
So I've heard things about silkworms
Some like it.
being used. They take those and they layer these silks to make Kevlar, and it's actually better than Kevlar, but it's really hot.
Right.
So, what is the comparison between spider silk and the silk from silkworms?
So spider silk, right? It has a little bit different strength than silkworms. I mean, obviously the names are similar, right? Spider silk, silkworm, but it's actually kind of a different substance.
So different organisms.
Different organisms, and spider silk is actually a protein. It's not just like
A material?
yeah, it's not just
like
an
a
element.
byproduct?
Right.
And then the silkworm is a carbohydrate.
Actually, if you eat it, it would be a significant source of fat. So,
Oh,
And fat leads back to steel in some way.
yeah.
Could
Yeah.
be.
Okay.
But anyway, like, how do we get these spider silk goats?
Where do you like extract
I think
said
there's
silk?
spider goats.
They're using
the udders.
Robotheme's theorem here actually to get this.
I read.
Cricket and Chim actually discovered this. They stole the idea from a female botanist.
Yeah.
I don't want to get that out there too
Botanist
much.
deals with plants.
Yeah.
If Chuck Rupp was here, he could get into this a little further.
He is actually a doctor, and
Alright.
he has a PhD in this topic.
Yes, he does.
But anyway, back to the hard-hitting question. How can we do it? How can goats do that? Well, we kind of talked about this in other episodes. We've talked a lot about, genetic modification. So what you can do here is you can split up the DNA, the double helix, and then replace part of it with that of a spider's. So like this amount of DNA from a spider that lets it spin silk, you just put that right into a goat. Obviously, it's way more complicated than I'm making it sound. But I'm just giving you guys a brief kind of
Summary of it?
So, Bill, what you're telling me is they pretty much take a goat, Stuff some spider silk in there and let it weave.
Not spider silk, spider DNA.
So they're basically
Yikes. So there's like a spider silk sperm bank going around, or
Sort of.
But not technically, because they're taking like the goats, so like when they're really small,
Yep.
and then they take it and then they modify its DNA, so when it grows up, it's not just a regular goat that produces milk. So instead of like in the milk in the udder, it now produces the liquid that creates silk.
Right. Now
And
it's
spiders.
Now it's a spider pig.
so we're gonna be seeing some
Oh,
six-legged
shoot.
critters running around then.
So spiders and goats can mate.
No.
yeah.
Oh, that's basically all I got out of this
So
segment.
can these
Comedic
goats
isolation.
do everything a spider can?
It can't.
And how many
no.
legs? How many legs will they have? Six.
It's still 4.
It depends on the DNA that you change.
So, so they're just injecting DNA,
Yeah.
right? That's it.
Yep.
Well,
Compatible DNA. Like,
I've
really
seen
hard.
that before. I don't know if it'll work.
it's
But
really hard to try to give a goat 8 legs that are made out of,
maybe for the science pod it is, but
So you're saying the hub could create a spider
I'm
goat?
not saying the hub. I might be saying the NH pod. I might be saying, well,
Holy Land Bakery.
those guys are good at poisoning our youth.
So this kind of
That's
goes
for
back
sure.
to the CRISPR gene editing tool,
Yep.
So that seems good.
which was a recent topic discussed on the Science
Milky
podcast.
I'm sorry.
All right. Are we
These are
moving
some
on to the
private
next
notes.
topic?
Let's move on,
Let's.
folks. I'll give the intro of this
So
one.
life in space. Just last week, Wednesday, there was actually the returning or coming home of these 2 astronauts featured, which is Scott Kelly and Mikhail Kornienko.
So that's
It
cool.
seems to look cold in that facility.
Alright, so what these guys did was they were on the space station for 340 days in space. So not quite a year, but
It says
pretty
300.
close to a year. And you see he's holding a plant there because that was part of their horticulture. You want to kind of...
I have actually a question. Did they measure the time separately from space to Earth? So was it really 340 days of their time, or 340 days of our time?
So I believe it is of our time.
So do you know how long it would have been for
I do
them?
not know. You are the time travel master.
I didn't hear of this example.
Whoa!
It converts to about 12 hours. They spent about 12 hours in space.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, all right. 300 days.
Throw it in
This
through
is
pipe
this is
tape.
a, this is a picture that they took when they were at 300 days in space, but they reached 340. This is actually not the most. There was a guy from Russia who actually outdid 340 days back in the
Congratulations.
mid 1990s,
In his
which
backyard,
was
I heard.
438 days by a Russian doctor.
Actually, I do have a note here. He surviving up there. He survived through only succulent pineapple, which are 80% water, thus being succulent. And continue.
Can we?
I don't know if that was fact checked or not, but
Well,
all
it
right.
is. So, Wikipedia is our source.
So, all right, another few interesting facts about this, and this is from Flipboard.com, an article.
Good website.
Yeah. All right, and they traveled 144 million miles through space during their time.
Hold
they
up.
Circled the world. Hold up. Hold up.
So we all know the moon landing fake, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a general consensus. around
Obviously.
here. So how do we know that these guys aren't pranking us? you
Just
know?
sitting in a green screen room,
Yeah.
having the time of their lives.
I mean, if you see right here, you can see a little green. in
Little
there.
green peeking through.
I don't see any green. No.
I think
Folks,
our
I think-
viewers would agree with us.
Yeah, I think we just stumped the science pod at their own game. But
Okay, you can carry on. I'm sorry.
carry on.
Didn't mean to
Just
interrupt.
drop the hub.
No, your turn now.
All right.
Okay.
They circled the world 5,440 times, which is quite a lot, and experienced 10,880 orbital sunrises and sunsets. So they traveled the world way more than any human has ever traveled the world, besides the guy from Russia. All right. And the reason they did this experiment was because NASA wants to send Mars, or humans, to Mars.
Yep.
And yeah,
SpaceX.
we talked about this first episode.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. In the 2030s. and this is going to be about 2.5 year-round journeys. So we need to test the human effects of being in this anti-gravity state. So one of the guys, Scott Kelly, has an identical twin, Mark Kelly. So they're going to do tests with the twins to see what happened differently, and they're doing tests with blood, saliva, urine.
Is this the same Mark Kelly from the 1980 Bills game when they went to the Super Bowl and lost 4 years in a row?
3 years.
The quarterback? Oh, was it 3?
It was 3.
It was 4 actually.
It was 4, but I'll write down 3 just for the
We're
sake
not
of the
even part of the sports pod.
Well, we do know a lot of every topic, so. Moving on, Mark Kelly.
Alright, well, I think that kind of covers this. This is NASA and getting their...
Is that Rodney Fig in the blue shirt there?
That's Mark Kelly.
That's Mark Kelly.
Oops.
Alright, so we're going to move on to the next topic, which is about the Matrix. So,
This is a movie podcast.
yeah, this is the movie hub. Alright, so there's these researchers at the HRL, not the HLB, the HRL laboratories in California. And what they're doing is testing the idea of uploading knowledge. So they put this thing, a top right picture, you see this cap that they're wearing, which has a lot of electrodes, and they did this experiment where they used 32 test subjects and stimulated these trainees in a flight simulator, and what they found was that 33%, or they were 33% more successful than those who did not use this cap. And what they're doing is they took brain signals from an experienced pilot and relayed those brain signals into the brain of of these trainees, and they were 33% better. All right, let's hear the question.
You talked about some pilots throwing them to the brain. What if they tried to do it as these pilots were going through the Bermuda Triangle, per se?
What?
I guess if you can replicate the Bermuda Triangle signals.
Well, it's hard to. Everyone's who ever gone through there is...
Actually, one of our viewers just called in, and they were asking if we could do a special segment on the Bermuda Triangle for this episode.
Well, chat.
And zombies.
That'll
And
be
zombies.
next episode, okay?
Next episode.
Well,
So this sounds a lot like that one movie, you know, Total
The
Recall?
Matrix?
Matrix.
Question,
Yes.
what's going on in that bottom right? What does that have to do
Alright,
with
so
anything?
the bottom right is actually more similar to the middle picture, because the middle picture actually has him in his fantasy state, which we kind of talked about in virtual reality. But what they're doing in the bottom right, or in a scene like this, they have Neo learn kung fu instantaneously by having his brain uploaded with knowledge.
It's pretty awesome.
Well, I didn't know Kung Fu could
So,
stop
my
popcorn like
question
that.
is, would it be beneficial if we could like right now this technology is only to amplify and boost learning.
Oh.
But what happens when we get it so advanced where instead of going to school for a
You
day,
can just plug in.
what if someone just plugs in and downloads all their history facts they need to know?
Well, problem is some histories like mine are cleared, so we'll have to see where that goes.
Wow.
Alright.
Moving on.
Well, anyways, enhanced learning.
That was really a jump out of the window.
Oh,
You have a thought on this?
Do you have any thoughts on that comment?
our viewers. That's for our viewers to find out.
No.
I have a question. So is he popping popcorn in this top left, or what's going on there?
I think so.
He's actually telepathically stopping those bullets
I
from
think
hitting.
he might be using a spider silk.
So you're
badge.
saying that with this technology right here, we'll be able to stop some
Yes.
bullets?
Yes,
I'm
your
saying
brain powers would be
virtual
greatly
reality.
amplified. Yeah.
So like,
Wow, this is
I'm
really
saying that's more
plug in
virtual
topics.
reality.
You just plug in a little something and you're ready to go.
So yeah, so
Excuse
like,
me?
Like you know in the movie you got Morpheus.
I've
Trinity,
never
and
seen this
Neo.
movie.
Oh. Well, they all go into these, like they sort of.
Well,
put
don't
on,
spoil it, dude.
Yeah.
Like, no,
Could you
This is
explain it without spoiling it? You know?
yeah.
Ben Affleck dies.
So basically, they go into this. They hook up to this machine, and it puts them into this virtual reality world. And as you can see, he can stop bullets.
But this is virtual reality,
Virtual
not
Okay.
reality.
Virtual reality. And virtual.
So this is basically impossible.
Sort of for now.
For now.
For now.
Like time travel. Like spider silk webs.
Those things that already exist. That's existed since the beginning of spiders. Yeah.
Oh,
Do spiders exist?
I don't think spiders
is
exist.
coming. Get one?
I think spiders are a conspiracy.
Do it.
Moving on. Moving on. Moving on.
All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why sleep is important. Studies indicate that it's
I'll be
very
right
bad
back,
to not
folks.
get much sleep.
I think I'm gonna go to sleep
Yeah,
if
so
we
don't
continue
fall
with this
asleep during this
podcast.
Take a nap, sir. Alright, where's he going?
Where are you going?
All right.
See ya.
He's going home, folks.
So lack of sleep, like this kind of goes in with the daylight savings time, which occurs in every March, and we lose an hour of sleep a night. It's just terrible.
Terrible.
And this can actually have severe effects to life or sleep cycles.
Detrimental.
So what happens when you sleep is that networks of water channels of the brain, which is the lymphatic system, and it acts as the waste disposal, carrying toxins away. So if you don't have this happening while you sleep, you might have toxins that build up, and a result of this could be Alzheimer's, for example. And
yeah.
all this information is according to Dr. Barash, a medical director of the Valley Hospital Center for Sleep Medicine in Ridgewood, New Jersey. And he says sleep deprivation can impact every organ in the body, so you need sleep.
I do actually have a statistic for every time you don't get 8 hours of sleep, you actually lose a year off your life.
According to this, yes.
According to http spectrum.iee.org, actually.
So I get an average of like 3 hours of sleep a night, right?
So, yeah. You're
So
pretty
a
much-
good-
What does
a good
that mean
amount.
for me? Can you give me a diagnosis here?
How many hours of sleep did you say again?
3. Like
Well,
more like
I'll
2
tell you the average.
three.
You're doing good.
Can you give me your age?
Well,
That's undisclosed information.
All right, well.
Say he's
for
12.
teenagers.
Just use the 12 as a
12,
baseline.
but
Alright.
I like old music.
What?
For teenagers.
Only 90s kids would get this.
According to this
Yeah.
study, for teenagers, a good time or a good average sleep time is from 9 to 10 hours a day. So you're a little under. So that this could lead to weight gain and alcohol intoxication symptoms, daytime sleepiness, irritability, difficulty focusing, deterioration in productivity, and impaired reaction time.
What are you saying here, Chet?
This is a possible explanation.
Is this
You
hitting
sleep
home?
deprived. You didn't even
Are you
catch that.
telling me?
Is this hitting home for you? I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's
reaction
making some
time is
really,
0.
really crude jokes towards you.
yes.
I think he's really
Are
hitting.
you kidding
This
me?
is reminding me of the NH pod right
The hub
now.
should probably sign off.
Can
and
I leave?
We
I'm
can't
gonna
be.
leave again.
We're ready to
guys.
sign. Okay,
You may
but
be special.
without Jack Rupp, these guys need some co-hosts here, and that's why
Tell
we're
me
here.
something I want to hear. Huh?
Yeah. Move on,
Yeah,
please,
we're done
right
with
now.
this.
Move on.
This is a touchy
All
subject.
right, and then
What?
the last thing is about a leap year.
This is lewd.
This is
So maybe
something.
some people are wondering about what a leap year is, and I'm going to clarify. So when people say a year is 365 days long, that's not correct. It's actually 365.2433 days.
Did you fact check, sir?
I fact checked that.
Can you show me your source?
Telegraph.co.uk.
Well,
Okay,
it's
thank you.
always these Canadian websites.
No,
United
thanks.
Kingdom is Britain.
Sorry
All
about
right,
that, folks.
So yeah, that kind of clarifies because every 4 years now you need to have an extra day. So why February, you might be wondering? Well, that's just because the Roman Emperor Caesar Augustus was like, I'm going to add some days to August and take them off February. So that's why it's in February.
That's awesome.
Well,
I don't think it was Caesar Augustus. I think it was JFK, actually.
yes, congratulations to JFK. Folks, when we do hit 10 viewers, by the way, we will be giving away a JFK signed
Last
bobble.
slide.
What's
Bob-
that?
What's a bobble?
That was
Bubblehead?
the last
Oh, a
slide.
bobble.
Yes, bubble.
Please post questions, comments, and suggestions for next week
Do
below.
you guys have any closing comments or
Can we get a
questions?
closing?
We're already done, folks?
I think
I'm just getting started here. Well, we actually have a little something. Can we just talk? We talk a lot about I don't know if you guys have tuned into the hub, but we talk a lot about the NH pod. What are your guys' thoughts? And we'll start one by one. Let's go start with maybe
I'm actually going to defer and start on that side.
Nathaniel Jason. Could you start us off?
The sports pod,
That's the one.
they're still around.
Exactly.
Shoot.
Exactly.
I didn't know.
I hear they went live for the
That's
first time
big
2
talk.
weeks ago.
Unfortunately, they did. Yes.
Just in case.
Can I do a shout out to our sponsors, Sarah Johnson and Rupp? That's all of them.
wow.
That's all of them. So.
Yeah, okay. That works, I guess.
Thank you.
And the whole Rupp family. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure.
It's
It was
been
really
a
nice
pleasure.
for you guys to join us.
Thanks for allowing us to come into your home, and maybe if you come into the studio sometime, you can claim your prize.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have a vacuum today, but
Oh,
maybe it'll be
Maybe
fine.
next next
when we
week.
start
Too
doing
soon?
Yeah, Black
Whose
Hole.
fault is that they don't have a vacuum in here?
yeah,
well,
we didn't
we
pay.
didn't pay
We
this
didn't
time.
get a
Anyways.
date settled.
We want to thank the hub once again for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed this week 5 of the Science
It's been a
Podcast.
pleasure
Alright,
enhancing your
Science
pod.
Podcast.
Signing out.
Signing out. We're out, folks.